Hey everyone, I'm Mårten Angner. I am a UX designer and a digital innovator from Sweden. I used to work at InUse in 2007, I think. I have been working with effect mapping and impact mapping as the go-to solution for building strategies and as a foundation for my digital design and the product I've been working with ever since. Today I'm going to share with you my take on impact mapping and the kind of artifacts that I work with. It's going to be a little bit different from what you have seen before. I'm a firm believer in simplicity, and my conclusion is that everything that is bigger than a PowerPoint slide is going to be forgotten in a drawer somewhere. Therefore, I have done this value stream analysis and trigger map concept, and I have had quite a lot of success with that in my projects, and it would be interesting to see if you can get inspiration from this and maybe have value of this method in your work as well. So let me go through this. To start out with, I use Google Slides as the way of doing documentation. This has proven to be very fast and reliable to work with. I can work with that on all devices. It is free. I can invite as many people as I want. And even when a project grows larger, this artifact has proven to be easy to navigate and appreciated by all stakeholders, both designers and project managers and basically everybody in the process. We can refer to a slide number and also send direct links to several slides, which makes it easy to use. I have divided this into two parts. And one part is something that I call a value stream analysis. And what that means is that every company on the planet needs to have an offering. They need to offer a service to a customer. And that service has to have value. There might also be several target groups, of which some of them actually constitutes the product. A driver on Uber, for example, or host on Airbnb will actually be the product. So we need to cater to the host's needs and then to be able to cater to the end sort of guest need in order for us to make money. So this artifact, it starts with presenting what we have and then what needs to be done by the different target groups in order for the service to become value in monetary form in the end here. And this artifact is basically what feeds the map with its target groups. So when I do a workshop with this, I start at the beginning and I ask my client what they do and what they have and what needs to be happen first. And when we're done with the map, we can also use it for identifying bottlenecks, for example. The next step of this is to do the impact mapping version that I work with, and I call it the trigger map. And I call it the trigger map because in my experience, the only thing that really matters is what makes the customer make their ultimate buying decision, what makes them act in a product. The rest of this would be good usability. And good usability is not something that just some of us want. This is something that all of us want and need. So on top of great usability and a fantastic design, what kind of specific things does our target group need to take the action or maybe select us before our competition or something like that? Also, I don't add the actions or features in the map. My experience is that the shelf life of this artifact will be drastically reduced as soon as you put, okay, so therefore we will do a share on Facebook feature. What I have seen is that when I can keep it to one slide and I can limit myself to the most important target groups, then it will actually be used. People will easily get into the map and they will understand the nuts and bolts of it without too much explanation. Many of the impact maps I have seen actually requires to have a usability consultant explain it, and that would be not great usability perhaps. I have prepared some goals here, and in this template that I've created, I keep very, very brief descriptions of the target groups. Basically, if we have done the target group work right, then everybody internally at the company know exactly who we're talking to, who we're talking about. So making an extensive persona documentation might not be needed for all customers. Now, when it comes to the driving forces and the usage goals, I tend to focus equally as much on what the users want as what the user don't want. My conclusion is that many times in digital products, it's the negative driving forces that actually makes the difference. So if you're shopping for a home alarm system, for example, you're probably not doing it for your entertainment. Here you have a fear and you don't want somebody to break into your house or so. And in this case, you want to avoid that. So then you go online. And this will then be something that would be really important for the customers to choose your client's projects or product rather than the competition. So what do they want and what do they don't want? And how can we make this into what the users might say themselves? So it's not the same thing to not fail or to succeed. That would be two different driving forces. And in order for us to find a message that cater to the user, we need to be very clear on, do they want to avoid something or do they want to achieve something? Now, the trigger map in itself doesn't really contain the answer in many cases. In many cases that it needs to be interpreted, and different people can have different interpretations. So what I do is that I make sure to make a conclusion about the trigger map and the value stream to see what, in essence, the different target groups want. And that leads to a certain number of changes that needs to be made. Pages or systems or features that needs to be designed, or changes that need to be done in present software. And them I describe on a high level, like you can see here, to not get down into too much detail. My conclusion is that oftentimes a page or a system will actually manage to cater to more than one user's wants and goals and fears. And therefore, making a direct connection between a driving force and a user and a certain feature becomes a big limitation in working with these methods. Instead, I tend to focus on outlining concepts and using user journeys and screen flows, or maybe offline and online combinations of touch points in order to describe my features or the solutions that I want to outline. I use hand-drawn sketches for that. I've been using hand-drawn sketches since 2008. Now I am working with the Apple Pencil and OneNote actually on iPad, and I have a course for that also if anyone might be interested in that. Let me know if you're interested and I'll hook you up. Each step here then can be described as per how the different parts of the page looks and what the different parts consist of and how it should work and so on. And sometimes different sections needs to be described in more details, and then I break it down into separate slides like this. And also through these blue lines I can sort of both have a readable, comprehensive description that you can read through as it is, and also point out the important parts of the view that you want to document. My experience is that the combination of the business flow analysis, where we can see how these target groups interact with each other, get an overview of that. It's a very good artifact for actually getting to see the same picture. Many of my clients show a discrepancy in different departments and how they see the business, and this artifact has actually helped me make them sort of agree on what's important and what comes first. And we can also agree on where the bottlenecks happen to be at this moment. Is it the payment system, or is it the marketing that is our biggest liability right now? Then an artifact like this can help us to join in seeing the same picture here. And also by using a one-slide approach to impact mapping, you force yourself to put the most important here and put what actually makes a difference, what makes the customers act and what makes the business click. And also taking that and making a conclusion and describe this conclusion becomes something that you can use as decision-making material. And then outline the user flows in a very simple and interactive way will be easy to read and also very easy to then use in practical development or design, where different people with different roles need to see this material and get guidance by this. Additional tools that I use is, and my designers, they use a Sketch app. So what we do is that we put our sketches into Sketch and publish them on InVision in order to be able to show a full size version of each page without this limitation in views like we have in this slideshow outs design. And I'm very happy with this, and if you want to have access to this template and play around with it and see if you can use it for anything, I'm happy to share it. So please contact me on marten@angner.se. So that's Mårten, M-A-R-T-E-N, @angner.se. So thank you so much for taking the time to view this, and please provide your insights and your feedback on this approach. Bye now.